About 30 minutes north of San Francisco lies wine country, but tonight is home of the Area Cup Series. For the first time this season, we will be turning left and right here through the undulating hills in Sonoma, California, here at the 2-mile famed road course. Who will be the tamer of the road? And who is going to wish that we were back at an oval? Well, they'll have to wait till next week, but let's answer those questions here today in 50 laps time. Welcome everybody to PTR TV for today's coverage of the Area Cup Series presented by the Studio Temporary, round number 4 here at the Sonoma Raceway for 50 laps around this tricky road course. Gonna be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the truck. Hunter Sleppy with me to help out with the call. So, Hunter, road course racing area style. I don't have much of a playbook to go off of as to who the ringers are going to be. Who are we looking for to take the challenge here tonight?
Well, it's been a while since we've been to a road course, the lefts and the rights, but specifically at Sonoma, we've only had 3 drivers finish inside the top 5 in both of our events back in Season 3 and Season 6. That being James Scioli, Jake Nichols, and Michael Curhan. Going to be some eyes to be kept on there. Scioli and Nichols have won here in the past. Seth Knoll has finished in the top 5 here once before. Travis Beckner as well, known to be a road course ringer. Looking at the time, looking pretty good for Dylan Alt. He's wrecked out in every cup start so far this season. However, he's on the top of the chart for right now. Still about 2.5 minutes left, but Van Drugman, he'll have company there. Van Drugman looking to continue his hot streak to start Season 8 with coming off a win from Las Vegas, looking to go 3 out of 4 today if he can get it done.
That would be quite the feat, and that 17-year-old definitely having some speed here at the tricky road course. Now, of course, Sonoma, I mean, anybody watching this very well knows the layout here at Sonoma. There were some changes. You know, there is the famed carousel version here at the Sonoma Raceway, which does include the interior here. We'll pull that up on screen, but we're running the cup layout. As for a couple years, we went to the carousel. Then they decided to switch back to this section of the track where you could see through the graphic there, the 33 working his way through. Now through the tricky S's. And about 2 years ago, Hunter, they actually made a change here at Sonoma to the hairpin here. So now drivers don't just have to worry about, you know, drivers dive bombing them. We got a concrete wall to get in the way now, too.
Yeah, this is a new reconfiguration of Sonoma that these guys have not been on. They were on the old one before. So this one's completely repaved, and then you mentioned the hairpin turn 11, that last one. That's going to be very crucial because not a lot of people are going to be able to cut through there with the wall that's separating going into the turn and then going through the turn itself. So there's no tire barriers. It's just a solid concrete wall. And not to mention the lap times are quicker. The previous track record here was back in Season 3 from Jake Nichols at a 1:14.263. Dylan Alt is at a 1:12.707, so nearly a second and a half faster than the previous track record here. So we have 5 more laps than in the previous 2 times we've been here. So it's a 50-lap race, just under 100 miles. Dylan Alt, mentioned him, going to be pretty hard to keep in. Well, I shouldn't say pretty hard to keep an eye on. Pretty easy to keep an eye on. He'll be up front on the pole. Van Drugman in second. That's going to be a fun battle to watch out for. And this is especially fun because there are no yellows on road courses. We used to have one yellow halfway in between, like a halfway break, but we don't have that anymore. It's been a few seasons since we ditched that for the road courses. So if you mess up, you're in a pretty big hole, and you can't really dig yourself out of it.
Yeah, we were just talking about that off air before the stream as Reese Schaefer put up a decent lap there, P13 on the board here as we'll get ready for the warm-up. But, you know, we do have 9 end-of-line penalties. I believe it was 9 end-of-lines and 3 drive-throughs. And we were just saying off air, Hunter, that they basically, you know, that penalty here, as for what you just said, no cautions, it's basically like a double penalty because you literally have no chance outside of pure pace and luck to catch up and recuperate from that.
Yeah, and then in the last time we were here, Jake Nichols actually led the most laps, but he had a mistake going through the final turn, coming to 4 to go, and Seth Knoll wound up taking the victory, led the last 4 laps. So will be fun to keep an eye on the turn 11, and then especially getting on the pit road, because these guys, I believe they will have to make at least one pit stop. Don't know if you can go all the way from fuel, but tires last time they really weren't that much of an issue, so we'll see if the new update and the reconfigured surface of Sonoma has anything else to say.
Yeah, I do believe there were some updates to the iRacing physics with the tire package, so I do think tires will wear a little bit, but also kind of a point that we have glossed over as well. This will be the first next-gen road course race with the 750 horsepower package, so a track that has a lot of corners that are very slow, which Connor missing the corner there in that 67 car. A lot of slow corners, a lot of aggressive on-throttle time here, wowing it back up. So having to deal with all those extra horsepower, Hunter, that's also going to be a challenge these drivers haven't faced yet unless they've done offline practice.
Yeah, that is an interesting thought, because every track we've been to, it's been at least a mile and a half or longer. So did not take that into consideration. Michigan, we won't have to deal with that, but Rockingham, that'll be a track because it's under 1.3 miles. Dover, Darlington, I believe, is one of the tracks as well. And then the Daytona Road Course. So we still have a few tracks left with that updated horsepower package that these guys are going to have to get accumulated to tonight.
Absolutely, with 3 minutes left here to warm up, and we'll see if, of course, we do get this all through, or if we give it a little bit of a bump. But we want to thank everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV. Of course, if it's your first time, don't make it your last. Hit the like and subscribe button here. We just eclipsed 2,000 subscribers and would love to get more. And if you're watching on Twitch, again, consider subscribing to the Area iRacing Twitch. $5 a month earns you double points. You can redeem those for discounts on merch. And, of course, you can get yourself the cool little custom emojis and whatnot that comes along with that. And that also directly helps out the league. So if you're on Twitch, of course, you can help out in that capacity here. But again, 2 minutes left and more. But let's take a look at the weather conditions here from virtual Sonoma, a track that I've actually been to in the past. 69 in the air, 95 track, so not too cold of a track, but not too hot, kind of the perfect track temp. But I will say, as a spectator, this for a road course with a lot of elevation, they did a phenomenal job here in the real world. You could almost see the entire track, at least from where I was at the top of turn 2. You could almost see the entire track. The only thing I couldn't see was the hairpin, which a little bit annoying, but I mean, for a road course to see 90% of the track, that's pretty nifty.
Yeah, it is. It's a sight to see here, especially whenever it's green. You get green grass here, but that, I don't know if they'll ever do that again.
It makes so much sense. We're going to Phoenix. We're going to insert other West Coast track here that varies all the time. Why not just come out here to Sonoma in the middle of March? The fans will love it. It won't be 100 degrees, but logic is what logic may be. And actually, back in the day, Sonoma actually used to be on the West Coast swing. It used to be in the late 90s. Look up some old 1995 Save Mart 350 when Dale Earnhardt won his only road course race. It was green here. Or go play Gran Turismo 4. That version is also green. Our starting lineup sponsor, which we will be getting into in about a minute's time, that will be Central Mobile Homes. If you are looking for a small or large home, a new shed, or Triple Crown trailer, you can look no further than Central Mobile Homes, proudly serving Florida customers for 30 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plan, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. That is centralmobilehomesinc.com. And again, they are our starting lineup sponsor here as we just finished things through for about another 35 seconds watching Logan Helton have a little ride there.
Oh, he'll be looking to not do that. He jumped up to third in the point standings after last week's race at Las Vegas. Quite a few guys behind him actually jumped up in points. Ben Drugman, he's won 2 races this season. He's jumped up to 4th in the standings. John Forbes Jr. up to 5th. Justana Sogak, the surprise so far, I'd say. 6th in the standings with 2 top 10s. Very surprising to say the least. Jake Nichols and a tie with him for 6th in the standings as well. And Rocky Boyd continuing his climb to 9th. And then Adam Cabot is up to 12th in the standings. And that is the final playoff spot, or championship spot, I should say.
Perfect timing for the session to decide to eradicate there, just as we were about to see the wreck of all wrecks. But now that'll be the end of warm-up. So now, for the first time in 2026, we will head down trackside for the area starting lineup by Central Mobile Homes here at a road course. Starting today's race off from P1, Dylan Alt, 112.707. Van Drugman trying to keep that high winning number alive here from the second row. Third, James Scioli with Drew Jua in fourth. Fifth, we got Connor Horn with Jake Nichols in sixth. Seventh, we got Michael Curhan, Cole Hooper in eighth. And then rounding out our top 10, Josh Caudell and then Joseph Causey there.
Adam Cabot going to start 11th. Alongside him, Frankie Barroso in 12th. In row 7, we'll find Reese Schaefer starting 13th. And alongside him, Philip Groner will be 14th. 15th is Jacob Harberts in the number 80. 16th will be Travis Beckner in the 28. And then the 33 of AJ Stravano will start 17th. And the 01, or 07, I should say, of Jared Talmadge will start 18th. 19th will be the one of Seth Knoll. And then 20th will be Gavin Rogers.
Outside of our top 20, we'll find Logan Helton. We just saw him having those little S shenanigans with Jeremy Miller. Been an interesting start to the season in the series for him. John Forbes, 23rd. Max Service in 24th with Rocky Boy, 25th. The Moose, Patrick Moose in 26th. Bryce Senesac and Zach Nerney will round out row 14. Then rounding out our top 30, we got Douglas Newbigging and Brett Punkari, 40 cars strong here today from Sonoma.
As we see Tyler Nichols and Seth Berger in the row behind. David Brown, Garrett Grant behind as well. And then I'm looking here. Garrett Grant doesn't, no, David Weiser doesn't have it, but Liam Sheen does. It says black flag with him. And a Sogak starting deep. And Jacob Bell also with a black flag. And then Ben Pierce and Ryan Swan rounding out the last row of our 40-car field.
Absolutely here. That is our PTR TV Central Mobile Homes starting lineup from the Sonoma Raceway. So again, we do have the standard race details. These are kind of a one-size-fits-all race details here in area. Of course, fixed setups, 4 sets of tires, no backup, and the green-white checkers are here. You can scratch out the green-white checkers because it's physically impossible for us to have overtime because there's no cautions. And it will just be a straightforward race. Should be right around an hour exactly, maybe a little bit, probably hour, 5-minute race. As you can see, all those end-of-line drivers peeling off, and oh, that has to be so painful, especially for those higher in the points.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge, especially looking at it with just Anna Sogak in the 69. Mentioned it, 6th in the standings, but starting 37th in the field. Might help a little bit. I don't know if he has an EOL, but if he doesn't, then it'll help a little bit. Will be fun to keep an eye on, though, because despite no yellows, we will have guys coming from the back to the front throughout this race, and they'll have to try and navigate through the chaos because we get no yellows, and if you're a part of it, then your day is done, at least for having a solid shot at running well. And it looks like that is Drew Jua who is going to the back. It looks like he has an EOL. He forfeits his 4th starting spot.
And I mean, it will just be a test of brawn, of talent, of patience, of luck as well, because even in area, actually, I'm going to pause that thought there. All those drivers that have the EOL, you can kind of see that single file lane. iRacing won't cause them to queue back up double file. They will just tell them to go single file, and we have quite the snake there behind, who is that? The 3, I believe. Quite the snake of single file, which will only add further to that time position loss with those penalties.
Yeah, so behind Tyler Nichols, it looks like everybody has the EOL. 3 of them, I think, will have to serve a pass-through, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what the black flag means. Liam Sheen, Patrick Moose, Jacob Bell.
Yeah, we did get the call there. 9 end-of-lines, and then 3 drive-throughs, which they will have, I believe, 3 laps to heed to that into the pits. Can't stop, can't top off for fuel, just a straight drive through the long, painful pit road, which starts here, and we will have an additional pace lap. So just look there, the outside perimeter of this hairpin, and then you will go all the way to the right side of your screen right now. Back in the day, there was a little pit stall called Gilligan's Island here to the left side of your screen, right in the middle of the hairpin there. They had about 10 or so pit stalls that were in the middle of the hairpin, and if you had a problem, you couldn't leave the track. You were literally stuck to the end of the race. But Sonoma, about 2003, did some massive renovations, as I was talking about, where they kind of made the spectator experience better, got rid of those. There's your little Corey track factisms here in area. But one more pace lap, and we'll see how the jump works, because as we know with road courses, Hunter, you're on the left side going up the hill, which is a good thing, but the first main corner here, turn 2, is to the right, so you got to get in that good position for that right-hander.
Yeah, and Dylan will be in the control car. He'll have the freedom to go whenever he wants to for the initial start, so would assume he'd get clear of Jungmann, but unless Jungmann times it perfect, then that'll be a challenge going through the turn. But this race could be won and lost on the first lap, especially anywhere in the field, especially up front. Looking through, mentioned that James Scioli, he is 8th in the point standings. He's starting up front with Jake Nichols in the row next to him. And then looking back, Connor Horn in the 67, he is 2nd in the standings, only 19 points back from our points leader, Seth Knoll, who, by the way, Knoll and Horn, they have both finished inside the top 10 in each of our first 3 races so far to start Season 8.
Of course, if you're watching this live, of course, tomorrow we'll be here again at Sonoma with the Truck Series, and then Thursday, the Florida State Builders Pro Series. We'll be heading up north 2 states up to Oregon. Actually, no, not 2 states. Up the state directly north of us. That's geography for you. Heading up to Portland. So it is road week here in area. A lot of these drivers do cross-run all of the series, so perhaps a good run here will tell us who to watch out for throughout the week here in area. But we'll come through the S's here for the final pace lap, and it will be the final pace lap. It'll be the last time you see that iRacing safety car / pace car on the track, because he won't be coming out. A green flag race. 50 laps here on the docket, Hunter.
Indeed, we'll see the pace car. Don't think he'll cut down pit road. Think he goes around the loop and then he'll... Nope, he will. All right, just duped me. Anyway, Dylan Alt's going to bring the field to green. He'll be the control car on the inside lane. To his right, we'll find Van Jugman on the front row, looking to get his 3rd win of Season 8 in the 4th race of the season. 40 hungry drivers, only one can win. As they head over to the restart zone, then the green flag is flying here at Sonoma. We're underway from wine country.
And we'll head up the hill for the first time here. And as you said, Van Drugman was going to try to stay side by side, but Dylan Alt using that main position to his advantage. He will clear, but now who will get through? Will we have any issues as everybody blends on through? But we might have a battle for the lead. Looking to the inside here, coming up through 3. Van Drugman going door to door with Alt here into the braking zone of turn 4.
Hard right-hand turn. Alt's going to be in front for the meantime, but Drugman will be looking down low. Prime passing zone here. I believe this is turn 7A. They got letters in some of these turns, but the 47 steers clear of the 56 and is looking to drive away.
Yeah, you can't run side by side. Well, actually, I'm not going to say that because, you know, we've broken the rules of Darlington by going side by side all through that track. You usually don't want to go side by side here at Sonoma through the S's, but now here is where you want to get a good run off. Turn number 10, hard on the binders. Turn number 11, get that move to the inside, evade that new concrete wall there. Used to be tire barriers, but they got hit and displaced many a time. Looking through the back of the pack here, I'm just trying to see if anybody had any issues on our timing and scoring. I believe Justin Anasogak, as we have our couple drivers coming into the pits for their drive-thrus. Patrick Moose, who we have is Jacob Bell and Liam Sheen
in the last one, yeah. So all 3 they're doing it on the same time, trying to eliminate whatever time loss they can as early as can be, but a car length separating Dylan Alt and Van Drugman. Skyly settling in 3rd, and single file for the most part throughout the top 5 and top 10.
Now I'm getting a trigger here on my back end of issue that may have occurred. Oh, yeah, that is certainly an issue. David Weishart, what happened to him? Oh, it was in front of him. That was the 11 of Philip Groner right in front of the track, causing an issue. he just got loose on the power there. 83 getting some contact. There goes Weishart, who just got clipped. And again, some opening shenanigans here at Sonoma.
Yeah, Douglas Dubig, he might have had a helping hand in that, but regardless, they're all deep in the field. Some of them are even more deep now. That being David Weishart with a spin. Philip Groner as well with some damage to his machine. Back up front, though, this is Josh Cottle in the 13, holding on to 10th. He's got Frankie Barroso right in front of him in the 51 car. Travis Beckner settling nicely up ahead in 8th.
And this may be a common theme here today, called our Benny Hill themes, our Benny Hill reel here, our instant replays of issues. Jeremy Miller is having a little excursion there, turn number 10. Very easy to do that. You're trying to set yourself up for a good run in the hairpin, and you just overshoot that as we go back to live pictures here. So he is now back into the 30th spot, matching his car number. Not what he wanted to do. Liam Sheen back in the pits. I don't know if he got a penalty on his penalty stop, but yeah, because you can't pit. You cannot go in your box. It will not clear the penalty. I'm not sure if that's what he tried to do, and he is just saying capuzzo tonight.
Yeah, already in the hole from that black flag and the pass-through that he had to serve, so looks like he is done for the night. Dylan All continues to grow his lead, 1.7 seconds separating him and Van Drugman. Sizable gap between himself and the first 3 cars. We're on board with Van Drugman.
Yeah, and you get to see the variance. Actually, that time by basically a draw, but the prior lap, there was a 1-second variance between those 2 drivers, and that's exactly why that gap is what it is. But the good thing about a road course is that everyone's going to have a bad lap. You might go off. You might have to back off heavily. You might lose a second. I mean, there's no such thing as a perfect driver there, Hunter, but many drivers do minimize the mistakes, but there's plenty of opportunities to have them here at Sonoma.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're looking throughout the rest of the field, again, 10th is Josh Cottle. This is outside the top 10. That being the one of Seth Knoll is up to 15th. AJ Stravato in the 33 in front of him.
4 spots for a road course. I mean, some of that could have been penalty induced, but either way, he'll take the positions however they do come across his screen there. But thus far, nobody else that I see having any spins or issues keeping it on the raceway here. I don't have any specific numbers for what we should expect strategy-wise. I would expect, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward to just run this race halfway and then pit then, so I imagine that'll probably be the popular strategy. But here's Adam Cabot closing in on Jacob Harberts here. Closing on in. Let's do our whiplash telemetry with, see what the speeds are here. Down to 60 miles an hour, second gear. I don't think they'll ever touch even, I'm not even sure. They're probably going to 4th. I don't think they'll ever go to 5th here. That would be a driver choice, but I don't think that anyone will. Heck, you might not even get into 4th.
Yeah, don't believe so either. As looking through, Philip Groner has retired from the race as well, so 2 drivers down. 38 remain. I was looking through lap times. We've got 4 guys that are in the 113s. Everybody else is in the 114s.
AJ Stravato just had a faux pas in turn 7A, I believe it was. Check that out here on our instant replay. Just looped around trying to get by the 07. I don't think there was any... Joseph Causey just kind of stuck in the middle of the track, so Joseph Causey got a little love tap from that.
Yeah, that was for 13th on the racetrack, so Stravato now deep with Joseph Causey in the 88. These guys are 20th and 21st right now, swapping positions as Bryce Senesac behind them watches on.
Doesn't look like the 88 got too much damage. The front of that car looks pretty okay. Trying to get, it's a little scuffed up, but aero, it's not going to be huge here at Sonoma. I mean, it does matter, but it's not going to matter as it does on other racetracks here. But Cole Hooper, he is right to the rear deck lid, giving some pressure to Jake Nichols, and saw those brake rotors glowing. And usually we don't see that during the day. That shows how much brake they're having to use. I mean, that extra horsepower, some additional speed. See if that number 99 can get a run into the hairpin.
Yeah, Cole Hooper only won top 10 this year and sitting 31st in the point standings. This could be a huge day for him to make up some points if he can get a solid finish here. Running 5th right now, behind one of the best in the business, that being Jake Nichols. And Cole Hooper has moved up 3 spots to start this one. Jake Nichols 2. The top 3 have stayed the same. Michael Curran has stayed in 7th as well. Again, he's finished inside the top 5 in each of our 2 appearances here at Sonoma, looking to keep that streak alive. But Beckner having a look to the inside, couldn't get it done in turn 2, looking to get through in 3 and 3A.
I got to cue our Benny Hill reel here a little bit. Ryan Swan, similar to what Jeremy Miller did. I think he kept it off the wall though, so Blue Tip Pool Builders will have a little bit of outdoor work here, getting the dirt off of that one. And then Rocky Boyd. Oh, Joseph Causey lost it in the S's, and cataclysmic impact for Rocky there.
Yeah, that's huge for him because he entered today sitting pretty good in the point standings, sitting 9th, coming off another top 10 finish from Las Vegas. So, unfortunately, that's going to set him back. Not sure how many spots or how many points it'll be, but not a good sign for him as, again, Dylan All continues to lead. The gap has stayed the same, 1.7 to 1.8 seconds between himself and Van Drugman. And it seems like those two are running, well, Dylan Alt's still running 113s. Everybody else is still in the 114 second bracket. But I'm looking at lap times here, almost 10 laps in on a run. Half a second to 0.6 of a second of fall off, varying throughout the field.
Yep, and usually that does mean that there's a little bit of opportunity for the overcut, undercut on the strategies. So if Van Drugman can stay within a second or two, he may have a little bit of opportunity. But Dylan Alt going to be very intelligent. He'll probably see it coming and try to eradicate any strategy call that Van Drugman may be able to put into play here. Garrett Grant in the 24. He is battling on through here. We'll probably get to see a lot of drivers we don't usually talk about here as we go through the field here at Sonoma. But here's Connor Horn. Here's Michael Curhan right on each other's quarters here through the S's.
Yeah, for position, the 6th spot up for grabs. So heading through turn 10. I'm going to head down to turn 11, the sharpest turn of the racetrack, the most agonizing turn of the racetrack because it's the slowest part of the speedway. And you don't want to gas it up too soon, otherwise you do get wheel spin, which we might see a little bit later on in this race. But solid showing for the 67 and the 24.
That is solidly within the top 10 right now, as the gap for the lead has now eclipsed 2 seconds here. And for you Ryan Swan fans, I have bad news. It's a little lazy faux pas, same way that he did it before. Ryan Swan has, I think he may have said, yeah, I'm not a road racer. He has taken it to the pits.
He'll look to avenge himself tomorrow night in the Truck Series. Again, they go to Sonoma. So, should be fun. Looking to keep his good start to the season going.
Well, in the vein, I'm sorry to cut you off, of Blue Tip Pool Builders, because obviously they're not going to get the airtime they desire here. You can bring your party to life this summer with them. They can give you a unique design to your pool with their high craftsmanship and cutting-edge technology. Jacob Bell coming into the pits as well. Good, perfect timing for this segment as well. If you don't have a pool or room for it, they also can do outdoor kitchens and outdoor spaces, lounging areas, and more. BlueTipPools.com. I don't know why his hand's in the air. He's waving like you just don't care, Mr. Corner Worker there, but he's just waving Dylan Alt as he grows his lead and carries on by. It's a good battle here, a little gaggle coming into 2 and 3A and 3B.
Well, that's Connor Horn in the 67, so he's down to 9, so something must have happened in the last 30 seconds with that car, and behind him, and Connor Horn got off track again.
Harbert's kind of pushed off Frankie Barroso a little bit there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what happened to Connor Horn, because he was running 6th, unless he got the boot from Michael Curran, but went off course there, holding this ground in 9th, but Jacob Harbert's hunting him down in the number 80 car for that position. And then outside of him, you see Adam Cabot, Seth Knoll, and Frankie Barroso. Close nose and tail racing for 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Now that part of the track, we'll focus on it when they get back through it here, as Caudell is in prime position now to make a stab underneath Travis Beckner. That is a hairpin dive. Beckner gonna shut the door. Didn't want to drive it in too deep there. And we'll give it another effort. But as they come up through this section of the track, I do want to point it out because it is probably the most difficult part of Sonoma, or one of them, because that corner is completely blind. Not so much here as we go up the hill. We'll actually go on board in the full inside of the car with Josh Caudell. Down here, and now you're cresting the highest point of the track. You can't see where you're aiming that car, Hunter, which is very easy to go off track or into another car.
Yeah, very treacherous parts of the speedway, such as road course racing, because you'll have uneven parts and downhill parts and uphill parts, so it all blends well together. So that's why we see Travis Beckner appear in the top 10, having a solid showing. Josh Caudell still trying to get around him in the number 13, and then we got a little conga line forming behind them with Connor Horn, but right now Beckner looking to keep that 13 at bat.
Turn 10 here. If Caudell could get the run, he could try it again. Multiple drivers have been off in the kitty litter there, but he did a good job, but he's going to be too far back to make a dive. But someone who is going to make a dive is Jacob Harberts, and then Seth Knoll there went 2 for 1. Tried to drive it in deep to take advantage of the opportunity, but cannot get the power down to get by Connor.
Yeah, so Harberts goes up to 10th. Horn now down to 10th, I should say. Harbert's up to 9th, as we'll take a look at this again.
Of course, the blimp cam is not the best one for that scenario here. Learning this new camera package here at Sonoma, but yeah, just look at Seth Knoll. He saw the opportunity, and he dove for it, trying to get there, but luckily he didn't make contact with the 80 to send him around, because that was a aggressive move.
Worked out in the end. He's up to 9th, and behind them now they're hunting down Connor Horn. That means Seth Knoll to the inside, looking to have a peek, try to get around him for that 10th spot, but to no avail. Adam Cabot will hold his own in 12th, and I'm looking throughout the rest of the field. We mentioned Drew Jua had one of the EOLs forfeit his 4th place starting spot. He's up to 16th, so he's made up quite a bit of ground. Unfortunately for him, there's no yellows in this race, but he still has a possibility of driving back into the top 10.
Now, at some point as a driver, you set yourself some goals. All right, let me get to the top 25. All right, let me get to the top 20. And then you kind of find where your plateau is going to be. We don't know where the plateau is going to be. It's very early now. And right now, you can see, just looking ahead, there is a huge conga line of cars right in front of him. I would say within 4 seconds, he has 8 positions. So he very well could drive himself into the top 10. And last time by, Drew Jua will wait for his time to scroll through. He just ran a 1:14.9, and a lot of drivers in front of him, 15s and 16s, as they are in that conga line.
Yeah, looking throughout the field, something happened to Bryce Senesac at one point. I think he made a pit stop. Yeah, he just came down pit road. He was running close to the top 20, right around where Garrett Grant was, 22nd, 23rd. So he must have made another pit stop at some point. Jacob Bell, I was about to say, he is done for the day.
Right in front of Ryan Swan. It is just not a good day for those affiliated with Blue Tip Pool Builders.
Yeah, it looks like Jacob Bell. Well, no, he's coming back out, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think he's parking in.
No. I mean, this could be a fuel window to the end. I mean, 35, 36 laps. I know in the real world, usually 37, 38 laps is kind of where they put the number at here. So this could very well just be a fuel window to get to the end. I mean, probably don't want to do it on tires. We're down about 7/10 and a lot of grip, but let's not count out or discredit Dylan Alt. It becomes very easy in these road races to forget about the leader when they're just dominating in the style that he is. But, season started off phenomenal at Daytona. He won the preseason shootout, and I believe he won his duel. He was in massive contention to win himself the Area 500 and do the sweep. But once that kind of went away, the luck hasn't been fully on his side. And, I mean, if he's going to be the road course ringer, I mean, he must have been licking his chops to get here to Sonoma.
I mean, only 8 total points on the season heading into this race, so he needed something to go his way. A win would be marvelous. I mean, already gets a bonus point for getting the pole, and I'm assuming he'll lead the most laps, because that's usually what happens here. The leader that gets the, well, not the leader, but whoever leads the most laps will get a bonus point for that. So trying to build up his way back towards championship contention in this series. Again, 47th in the standings, looking to climb himself out of that hole.
And for someone who's attempted every race, yeah, that is just not in conjunction with where he should be. But of course, with the chase, you know, we're not running the elimination format as NASCAR has changed. We're running the chase, so if he can just get himself into the chase, you know, he's not going to be on an even playing field, but he'll be as close as he can be and take that stab for those remaining few races here in area. But we're pushing about, I'd say, again, 15 laps to probably pit stops. You may see some around 10 laps from now. But just to help out some of our other partners here with area, let's bring up Travis Beckner, because he's one that we always talk about, because with Hendry County, racing is going to be back on April 25th with the Cruiser Late Models, V8 Warriors, and more. Tickets $20 for adults, discounts available for seniors, and then teens and kids aged 5 and under get in for free. You can come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, Clewiston, Florida, off US 27. HendryRacing.com, and see Travis right there on that flag stand. We are pretty well spaced out here. Besides that, the next closest battle here on the raceway is going to be Frankie Barroso, Connor Horn. Connor Horn, I think he started, what was it, 6th? Let's get the validation there. Started 5th, but the long run pace not going in Connor's direction here. He actually ran, his last time was 1.1 seconds slower than Dylan Alt, and he only qualified maybe 3 or 4 tenths off of Dylan Alt's pace.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been off track a couple of times tonight, so it seems like his car is starting to wear and tear a little bit more than the others. Looking through lap times, I don't think Dylan Alt's ran a lap slower than a 113. He's been in the 113 bracket every time I've looked at it. We're 16 laps into a run. 7 tenths slower than his fastest lap, and you can say about the same with Van Drugman. He's dipped between the 113s and the 114s, but not too much tire fall off here. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to take tires and still make up some ground. It seems like it'll be just a splash. Well, I shouldn't say splash and go, but it seems like fuel only maybe for some. Because tire wear is not that big an issue from what I can see.
About 8 tenths of a second, so we'll see. I would say most drivers probably would, but you might see some drivers just kind of risk it here. Again, it is kind of a math equation. If you're losing a second a lap, that means you're going to lose 25 seconds on the track. How much time will you lose by taking those extra tires? I mean, just that's a good math game for you. Something that we will see that we don't see very often here is some lap traffic going to be ahead of Dylan Alt. That is Bryce Senesac in the 65 of Ben Pierce. He's going to catch him at a very good part of the racetrack here, heading into the hairpin. Whoa, something happened there with Senesac.
I think he was caught off guard from Ben Pierce, because Ben Pierce was pitting. He didn't want to hit him.
Oh, yeah.
So he got into the 47 of Dylan Alt there unintentionally. I mean, Bryce kind of put in a rough spot there, but
yeah, he moved over, and that could have been a left rear putting the 47 right into that tire wall. That was a close call, but luckily it all worked out.
That would have summed up the 47 season if he got clipped right there. But fortunately, he'll be able to keep going. Bryce Senesac back gave himself a heart attack. I just know it, because that's the last thing you want to do as a lap car. Just get into the leader and then end his day or ruin his day. So glad that didn't happen. Dylan Alt continuing to lead. Meanwhile, looking back, see the 63 just outside the top 15. That is Logan Helton. Juju is now inside the top 15, and Reese Schaefer hanging strong in 17.
Yeah, doing a great job here, as we just talked about Drew Jua, and we'll talk about him some more. Jarrett Tallmadge here in that 07. He's hanging on pretty well in the 14th spot. He is next on the chopping block for Drew to get to, and you can see about 6 or 7 cars behind. You got Reese Schaefer in the Chad Little car. Gavin Rogers, always someone in our YouTube chat looking for a good run for Gavin. He's doing a solid here. Obviously not the road racer, but he's trooping through. And, in the real world, Hunter, just to kind of go askew a little bit, it became more important to be a better road racer. We were running 7 road courses at a time a couple years ago in the Cup Series, so it couldn't just be a throwaway race. It became an actual skill these drivers needed to master. And here in area, I think where we have 2, you can't really sleep on them anymore.
No, especially with the chase format, because one bad day could put you... Oh, there's Joseph Causey in 88 spinning. Mentioned it, one bad day here on a road course could put you in a deep hole, especially with no yellows.
Now, let's see what happened to Joseph. That was AJ Stravato to his rear. AJ did not make the corner.
And he did not gain any positions at all because Jeremy Miller went around him. So AJ Stravato will stay in the 21st position.
Oh, that was a close quarters crossover there by Rocky Boyd, and now Causey and Newbigging. And you could see Newbigging has obviously went into snowplow mode at some point. That front end is very caved in.
Yeah, might have been from earlier in the race with Philip Groner on the first car to go around or have an incident, but the 71 is holding his own in the 23rd spot, still up 6 positions from the start of the race.
Or David Weishart, he was involved in that Philip Groner lap 1 or 2 issue, and he's in the 24th spot. Where did he start the race? Memory does not remember. He started in 35th, so even with that issue, he's still at a net positive here on the day, and more spots able to be gained. Rocky Boyd side by side with Causey, and I guess worse for wear, Rocky Boyd is 12 laps down, so Causey not really wanting to deal with that, but it is what it is. Everyone is entitled to their spot on the track. Let's go back to this crazy battle. Helton, Talmadge, and as Drew Jua passed both of them.
Yeah, this is for the 16th position now. Talmadge getting around Helton in the 63. Schaefer right behind there in the 16th position. Actually, we got some guys making pit stops, so this order has changed since we last saw it.
Now let's take a look here. There have been, we had the 3 car here of Tyler Nichols make a pit stop for 4 tires and fuel, as did Ben Pierce about 2 laps ago. Jacob Bell did pit as well, and actually he is in the pits, but Jacob has obviously not had the best day. Closing in on halfway, and this is that opportunity, as I said, Hunter, for maybe a slight undercut on tires. About 7-8 tenths of fall off, a second in some more erratic cases. So it can give you a little jump for the end of the race.
Yeah, looking through, we've had some more guys retire from the race. Patrick Moose being one of them. Ryan Swan as well. And mention Rocky Boyd, he's back out on the racetrack, I'm pretty sure, because with the chase format now, every position matters. So he is back on track, and he will gain those 2 spots on Moose and Swan, which could help his point situation a little more.
Yeah, every point does matter. You see it here coming into the final race of all these cutoff races. You have 1 or 2 points, and where could you have got those 1 or 2 points? It could have been a race like this where maybe you wanted to quit early, but you kept yourself in the game here. Josh Caudell to the inside of Adam Cabot. This is for 8th spot. Adam will relent that really easily, and then now Jacob Harbor. It's going to try to take his opportunity. Not able to go 2 for 1, but he'll see if he can put a charge together going up the hill.
Yeah, still working his way throughout the field. Harbert's holding strong in 10th. Connor Horn has his hands full back there, and that little check up there. Frankie Barroso and Drew Jua, again, the 96 car, flying through the field up to 13th after his EOL. Closing in on that top 10 position that's being held by Harbert.
Connor get a right rear off there as this camera, well, that corner is actually a really difficult corner. You'll see a lot of drivers go right out to that wall as Garrett Grant We'll kind of showcase some of the drivers going through here. Joseph Kazi, we've seen him on camera, not for good reasons, but there's that downhill crest. And now, this is a great passing zone, but this is a big airtime curb, and then you go all the way out, and you gotta pull it back in for that wall. That's a power move.
Having a look there. And Pierce, well, they'll let him go.
Pierce is one lap down in 34th as well, as we do have Van Drugman in the pits. Now, everything in my racing knowledge bank, which is pretty drastic, goes back to about 1998 in the Cup Series anyways, says that Dylan Alt is going to pit this time by.
Yeah, I'd say so. Don't want to let the other guy have the upper hand on the short pit strategy.
And yay! Thank you, Dylan, for making me look like I know what I'm talking about here. Here's Adam Cabot in. Reese Schaefer also in the pits, so undercutting halfway just by a little bit. It will amount to about 2.5 seconds on the racetrack with the fall off we've seen. There's David Weishart. And just no penalties, no mistakes, especially for Dylan Alt. I mean, I would go 44, or I don't know what the speed limit is, but whatever it is, I'd probably go 2 miles an hour slower. Play it safe. There's no reason to push it with the lead you have and the car you have.
Agreed. Make sure you don't speed on the pit road as well. Cole Hooper pitting as well. James Scully has taken over as the leader of the race. Jake Nichols, Michael Curran, Seth Knoll rounding out the top 4. Dylan Alt's still in the top 5, but now he is fading through. Pit stop should be wrapping up soon.
Yeah, coming to halfway, should be wrapping up pretty soon, and we'll see where they stack up, Van Drugman in relation to Dylan Alt once the cycle does play itself through here. But right now, Van Drugman is in 12th. And where is Dylan Alt in relation? Can we see him? Yeah, Dylan Alt right up there. So maybe he gained about a second, but they are in heavy traffic, and this is where you got to be careful. You got to be patient. You're not actually racing these guys, so it's important to get around as quickly as possible, but it's not imperative to push the issue.
Yeah, Dylan Alt, Van Drugman, Cole Hooper, they all took 4 tires from the looks of things, so not sure if anyone's going to be able to undercut and stay in front, but could give it a shot. Skyley will head down pit
lock
road.
up.
They are... Whoa!
Oh, no,
they're
no!
spinning! Right in front of the 47. He gets a little piece of Jason Tallmadge. Here comes Van Drugman closing in. Logan Helton got a little piece of that as well. Trouble again near the 47 to Dylan Alt.
And now the Van Drugman's going to be in immediate chasing territory right now. Let's go look at it from the... we'll try to find a top-down perspective that is decent here. So he's driving it on into the corner here. And now it was kind of a stack-up game here. And then it was almost like a 3 wide. The 07 and the other driver there, Helton, just kind of came together. And now this is the opportunity for Van Drugman. I mean, if you're going to have any chance, here it is. You're within now, 1 second. But, I mean, I just don't think he has the car, but at least he kind of got a second stab at it.
And he doesn't have any sort of damage as far as what I can see compared to the 47. It might be a little cosmetic for the Dylan Alt machine, but he's still going regardless. Second close call of the race. Hoping that doesn't happen again. Meanwhile, up in front of him, Jake Nichols has made it down the pit road. Logan Helton behind, coming to pit road as well.
Almost as if the racing gods are doing everything they can to take that 47 out of victory lane here today. But, you know, sometimes you just gotta... The race may not be seeming like it's going your way. It might be seeming like it's meant to go against you, but if you race, you do your thing, you don't make mistakes, you will persevere in the end. A lot of the time, and that's Garrett Grant. You can't park there.
No.
See what happened to Garrett by himself. Just lost it on entry. And that would be found a gap. That was a very tight gap there as he blended back on the racetrack, but all ends well, less the track position loss for, not for Dylan, for Garrett.
Yeah, the 5 of Garrett Grant is 31st, a lap down, as this is the leader of the race, Michael Curran, in the 24. Looks like he'll play the long game strategy and have fresher tires towards the end. Again, top 5 in both races here at Sonoma, looking to keep that streak alive.
Absolutely. We'll see if he can keep that streak alive. He's going to be losing time, but he's going to hope that he gains it on the back half of the run. Of course, the Rookie of the Year battle here in area in the Cup Series is super hot. And what else is super hot is Rick's Hot Sauce. You can head over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best sauces made locally in South Florida. Lokahatchee Classic Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. And we'll see which driver at the end of the season gets the Rick's Hot Sauce $100 prize for Rookie of the Year. But we have about, 4.5 months before that becomes a situation here. So we'll wait for Curhan to pit, and that 1 second gap that Van Drugman was given now is up to 1.6. So while this goes on, we're going to go side by side for a brief break, and we'll be back with you in about 2 minutes' time. Stay with us, please. All right, we are back here on PTR TV for round number 4 of the Area Cup Series presented by the Studio Temporary here at Sonoma. 50 laps on the board, and 30 laps of them have been completed. It's myself, Corey Silva, in the booth, and in the truck, Hunter Sleppy with the calls. We've just finished our one and only pit stop cycle here at Sonoma. Of course, no cautions to interrupt the flow of this race. So we will go clean and green. We do have a couple drivers who have had some pit stops still, late pitters, but I believe we did have Adam Cabot go off track and tow. So that is not good for someone who's usually pretty up there in points.
No, it is not. I'll have to try and figure out what happened with him there, but Dylan All continues to lead. The gap pretty much the same from the beginning of the race, 1.7 seconds, although he did have a little moment there in turn 11. But keeping it straight for the most part, catching some lap traffic. In the meantime, Van Drugman still second, James Scioli third, Cole Hooper fourth, and Jake Nichols rounding out your top five, with Michael Curhan about 6.4 seconds back from the 73, looking to keep his top five streak alive at Sonoma.
Oh,
there is Adam Cabot.
That's a new place to wreck.
That's like a Casey Kane one from 2015 where he just pounded the wall there, but that is not good for him, and he will drop deeply in the point standings.
Back to 34th, and with Jacob Bell and Rocky Boyd still running. Jacob Bell, he is 5 laps down, and in 3 laps time, Adam Cabot will lose another spot, and Rocky Boyd would need to gain 11 laps, which if Rocky Boyd could finish these through, he would actually gain that spot as well. So that's the motivation that some of these drivers need. But some motivation you might need is to look really nice and fly with some area swag. You can go to shop.areairacing.com and get high quality merch at low prices from their brand new selection of shirts, hats, Adidas clothing, and other accessories. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com with their new swag updated with the studio temporary branding, and it is looking pretty slick. And I want to say, I think it's him. I think it's Michael Curhan who has the hat, the area hat in his driver photo. Yeah, he does. He's repping it.
All right. Yeah, looking to keep that streak going. He'll have to get around one of the best to ever do it here in area. Last lap, though, he was half a second slower than Jake Nichols, who pitted 3 laps earlier than the 24. So we'll see if the tire wear will be enough for the 24 to overcome. You see the last lap times there on the left.
Josh Caudell, he's been on screen quite a bit here today, along with Jacob Harbarts. They have been in the top 10 or very near it all day. And someone who we haven't talked about all day, that's John Forbes Jr. He started 23rd. He's up 13 spots on the day, cracking the door, well, right on the edge of the top 10. Reese Schaefer in the 11th spot. He is trying to get that ever-elusive 10th spot, closing on in here. And if you get the run, as we always say, if you can get the run through the S's, you set yourself up for a good shot into the hairpin. Here's that elusive turn 10 we've seen a couple drivers screw up in.
Yeah, looking to get a top 10, or to get himself inside the top 10. Still 18 laps remaining here from Sonoma for Reese Schaefer to try and navigate his way towards a possible top 10 finish. Frankie Barroso as well behind.
And here is Reese Schaefer door-to-door with Forbes. Now, the right side of the track is the better part because it gets you the ideal lane here on this corner. But, of course, most of the lead-ups to that were you want to be on the left side. That worked out to John Forbes' opportunity. And just behind that, Frankie Barroso. Again, a lot of time here we've had him on screen and solidly, not in the top 10 right now, but just on the outskirts of it. But nice solid run, not putting that 51 in any dangerous spots. This is a good solid run for Frankie.
Yeah, and surprisingly enough, he has not recorded a top 10 finish at all this season, but finds himself 13th in the standings, so very consistent for the most part. He's a couple spots away from trying to do just that. Reese Schaefer, 10th in the standings. He fell back a good bit after Las Vegas. But John Forbes Jr. as well, he is running comfortably in the point standings in 5th, with a top 5 and the top 10 to his name. That coming from Las Vegas last week where he finished 4th. So those guys all looking to keep their consistency going as we find the 80 of Harberts and the 13 of Caudle close in the battle for 8th.
I think Harberts took a stab there underneath Caudell in the hairpin. They were very close on their interval, but it quickly decimated and went further back. So just taking another stab at it. Of course, the hairpin is the best place to make a pass here. It's the most aggressive braking zone. Turn 4 here. I think it's actually 4 and 4A if I get my Sonoma numerics correct. This is one of my best places to pass. And there's 13 cooking the entry there, but not enough to cause him any issues. Winding it back down for the S's.
Yeah, keeping it straight for the most part. No, he had a little run in there with Logan Helton. So Helton finds himself 15th. There's the 35 of Brent Punkari. Slow, letting everybody go.
Yeah,
trying to stay out of the way.
Yeah, let Senesac go by, and perhaps, actually just Senesac. Behind that is that Van Drugman just behind? Yes, it is. Van Drugman, remember that scare that Dylan Alt encountered had brought him down to a 1 second deficit, but just doesn't have that little bit of extra oomph, that little bit of extra consistency. Now they get the lead. I think it might be higher than it's been all race, about 3.5 seconds. And just worse for wear, Dylan Alt technically has 1 lap fresher tires for whatever small difference that may provide.
And looking through, Michael Curran, the gap is 7 seconds now between himself and Jake Nichols. So it seems like tires have done nothing for him for the most part, as there is a 73 in Nichols. A little bit of lap traffic in front of him being the 88 of Joseph Causey, but in front of him, the 99 of Cole Hooper running solid in 4th.
And they are, and here we go. I think these drivers again. Frankie Barroso has a good solid run opportunity on John Forbes, pulls back in line, but this is where you need to get the run solidified. Out of 10, take yourself a dive into the hairpin, and he will get underneath Forbes, and he should be able to clear. So move Barroso up to P11 here. He'll try to charge down on Reese Schaefer, but that is about 2 seconds up the road.
Indeed. Connor Horn right behind in 13th, running solid there. Battle for 4th still heating up. Cole Hooper on the 99 in front of the green 73 of Jake Nichols, and still a good bit of ways between him and Michael Curran. We're on board with the 73.
I was just listening there, and you may have heard it at home. Jake did not shift up there, which some drivers do. It's a very, very short upshift if you're going to do it there at the end of the S's. As soon as you hit 4th, you're right back down to 3rd, and I think Jake actually hit the chip there. Kind of stagnated his run, but falls back in line. Something we didn't really talk about here at Sonoma is dirty air. You're going slow here at most corners, but you are going fast enough that it is something that will hurt you, is that dirty air. And as with most road courses, it's not like Kansas where you can just run a different lane. You're just kind of stuck, and you have to just plow through it to the best of your abilities.
Absolutely, especially I would say through the S's, it kind of thwarts some people in their run. Well, it doesn't help that you can't go side by side through the S's for the most part, although some drivers still try to do it. As we're looking throughout the field, this is Gavin Rogers up in front of Drew Gila. Mentioned Drew had the EOL, was making his way nicely towards the top 10, pitted, and it's kind of stagnated there in the 15th position.
Now, the thing with Drew is he was one of the first to pit. Actually, I guess he pit right around the same time as everybody else, but relating to the drivers in front of him right now, which our Talmadge and Rogers, they are on 6-lap fresher tires, which, as we're seeing fall off be right around a second, that's going to be a tangible amount of grip. So even though he did work through the field, he's not at his race high, which I think was maybe 13th or 14th, but still a good solid charge nonetheless for Drew. We already talked this race about road course week, so we'll be back here tomorrow with the Truck Series. We'll be back here, or rather in Oregon, for the Portland race on Thursday with the Nopes cars. But next week, if you are not looking forward to road courses and you just want this week to be over with, well, Michigan, the 2-mile fast D-shaped oval, we will be pushing about 195 miles an hour there, probably some semi-pack racing. So if you don't like this, Michigan may be up your alley next week, except for the Florida State Builders Pro Series. They are going to be heading to the short track at Iowa 2 weeks in a row, where the area the triple header will not be in play.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row that the Pro Series will have the 750 horsepower package, because again, Iowa is a track less than a mile in length, 7/8 of a mile, I believe.
Well, the Pro
and
Series,
believe,
they're on a different, it's different cars, so it wouldn't be the same as.
Regardless, it's fun. And I do think that they're going on the reconfigured Iowa. I think Iowa did get a rescan from the last time that they were there. So the turns will be paved on the bottom, and the rest of the track will still be the same.
Yep, so it does actually, in the real world, it was kind of an interesting race in year 2, but yeah, it does kind of stagnate you to not being able to run some of the multi-groove racing, but still should be a good show, but that'll be in about a week and a half's time. Connor Horn, John Forbes. Connor Horn making a pass. He's been on the demise here for the back half of this race, but picking one off, getting by John Forbes, who was just in 10th, and if memory serves, and John Forbes down to not 10th now. But what John Forbes did, yes, thank you for saving me there. But one thing John Forbes did, and this is what you were kind of leading into, his pit stop was fuel only. And I think he may be heavily regretting that now.
Yeah, looking like it's starting to bite him now. But it's not too bad. It's not bad enough to where you should be panicking. There's still 11 laps left, but with how spread out the field is, he's got about 5 to 6 seconds actually between himself and Travis Beckner. So as long as he keeps it straight, shouldn't have to worry. But this one will have to worry.
Oh, never mind. There are occasions here with our overlay software where when somebody exits the pits, it for some reason thinks that was a crash. So I thought Douglas Newbigging had a faux pas of sorts, but he did not. He just exited the pits and stopped to try to let the field go by in a safe manner, which you got to appreciate, not trying to blend out into a very narrow part of the racetrack. But Dylan Alt just driving on through here at Sonoma, 5 seconds up through the field as we now, he is so close to that tire wall. He's already had a skirmish with it once. That's Van Drugman, pardon me, in second. But yeah, Dylan Alt, what else do you say? Just basically drove the perfect race, and he's a couple scares, but keep it on track for 10 more and you'll shake that monkey off your back.
Yeah, he's just driven away from the 56 of Van Drugman. And I mean, similar lap times last time through for Alt and Drugman, but these two have really been the class of the field because everybody else is at least 17 seconds back from the leader. Scioli had a pretty solid day himself. He hasn't moved at all from his third starting spot, but again, he's just, there's a spin in front of him. Someone went off. I'm not sure who that was. Don't think it was the 09. It could be wrong.
It was AJ Stravato, I believe, if I'm getting my paint schemes correct. It was. We'll go back and check out what happened to Mr. AJ. Oh, he's already off there. We'll have to cut back a few further seconds. Oh, he just lost it coming off the bottom of the hill there.
Yeah, going through the old layout of Sonoma. The OG layout.
Into the left, the left sides were in the dirt. And yeah, absolutely. That would have been a perfect power slide into the infield if that's the layout we were running, but not so much the case here.
And he will fall in the timesheet, but still, Cole Hooper holding off Jake Nichols, 4th and 5th on the racetrack right now. Still 7 seconds between the 73 and the 24, so 9 laps for Michael Curran to continue that top 5 streak at Sonoma alive. Otherwise, it is done for.
Done for indeed here. 7 seconds. Massive off-road excursions there. Bryce Senesac right in front of Nichols right in front of Hooper, and that kind of threw them both a foot there. And you don't want to be in the dirt there at that downhill, as we've just seen. It does not always end well, but Jake Nichols he's definitely faster than Cole Hooper, and he definitely has the better opportunity now. He just, again, fighting that dirty air, fighting the aging tires here. Cole Hooper actually has 2 lap older tires as well, but it's not enough of a difference to help out the 73.
No, and something happened to Travis Beckner because he's down to 19th now. Not sure what happened.
We have the technology.
Oh, well, that's what happened.
A little lazy spin there. And a lap earlier than this, I actually have another trigger from him. That was far more drastic.
Whoa, yeah. It's a really dangerous part, especially coming through turn 10 where those guys are trying to floor it for turn 11.
Yeah, he found a good place of real estate to merge back on the track, but he had 2 issues. I mean, he probably quite literally got some dirt on the tires, and that affected his grip. Heated up the tires with those spins, so hot plus dirt equals bad. Here's Logan Helton. He is in 16th, closing in on Gavin Rogers for 15th. Logan definitely has a better car than where he's running right now. It's just circumstances and how things have came to be. He is outside of the top 10, but that is just how the race plays out. And then Drew Jua, and we've talked about him trying to recover. And I talked very, very early in the show about, when you start in the back of the field, you have to set your goals, your realistic goals, top 25, top 20, top 15. I mean, the top 15 is right in front of him, but he has the older tires. I don't know if he can get there.
Yeah, regardless of where he's running now, it's better than where it was last week in Las Vegas, where he finished 19th, and he moved up 8 spots in the standings. So I could definitely see a few guys where he might overlap, or overtake, I should say, in points. He entered today 24th in points, so still, despite having the EOL, a good day nonetheless for the 96.
Who's along on that Publix Camry right there. I don't know too much about Publix because we don't have them here in New England, but that is the BR line, which about 5 people will understand because that reference is 25 years old, but a very high lane through the hairpin there for Gavin Rogers, but didn't cost him a spot, but probably got some marbles on the tires, but he's hanging through for now. This is the closest battle on the racetrack. Dylan Alt, Van Drugman now 7 seconds apart, plus James Scioli 19 seconds back. And not too far behind Scioli is Cole Hooper. I've kind of underestimated this. Only about 2 seconds, so Scioli's not solidly in third. He does have to, just keep an eye on that mirror and not make a mistake.
Yeah, Cole Hooper looking to have a top 5 performance, and that will be his first top 5 of the season. So trying to keep that going. I mean, regardless if he gets passed by the 73, he'll still be in the top 5, and big enough gap between himself and the 24. This, I believe, is 4th position.
It is.
David Weishart and Travis Beckner. David wants no part of it.
And then just behind that, Jake Nichols took a stab at it, but not to be. And you could see just struggling, wiggling there, under braking, getting back on the power. Just not able to make that pass. He's just... I just have a feeling if he was able to clear, he would just drive off and just set sail. But, and that's just how it happens sometimes. We see it happen with the dirty air at the single groove tracks. We see it happen on ovals. Or once you clear, you drive off by 5 seconds. But if you can't clear, a first place car will blend right in there and become a top 10 car. Just the name of the game here. But we are now 5 laps to go, about 5.5, 6 minutes of racing here. Drivers getting out of the way of Dylan Alt. That was the 35, Brent Pacari, getting out of the way. And now we're actually closing in on that battle with Drew Jewell we were just showcasing. This is going to be tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah. 17th actually. 17th, 16th, and 15th. All within reach for our leader, Dylan Alt, to put a lap down. And looking through the running order, I do want to say, currently the biggest mover of the race is David Weishart, up 16 spots since the start of this one, started in 35th, up to 19th. And a little further up front, the one of Seth Knoll has jumped up 12 spots since the start of the race, along with David Brown. Both drivers up 12 spots. Justin Sogak up 13 spots from 37th to 24th, so he'll still take a tumble in the standings, but somewhat decent recovery for Justin. Don't believe he's much of a road course racer, but battle for fourth still heating up with Nichols closing in on Cole Hooper.
David Weishart was just doing everything in his power to get out of the way, including doing some off-road excursioning there, so he kept it out of the way, and he still has the title of biggest mover here in that 19th spot. 4 laps to go, and I mean, what else could you really do if you're Jake Nichols? I mean, he's a driver of respect. He's not just going to go and bulldoze his way through, but it's like, what else can he do? He wants to pass. He wants the point. He's faster. It's just, it's the old fried chicken on a stick on the treadmill syndrome. It's right there in front of you. You just can't grab it.
Or a donut, too.
Or I think it's actually supposed to be a carrot, but for us fat kids, we replace it with either a donut or a fried chicken. Or how about a fried chicken donut? Someone put that one together. That'll sell like hotcakes, no pun intended. Here is Gavin Rogers and John Forbes side by side going up the hill. And I'm not sure who the passer and the passee is, but Gavin Rogers will persevere for the time being. Again, all of this directly, quite literally directly in front of our leader.
I would say it's Gavin Rogers. John Forbes has been falling back, but 15th is not too shabby for that 70, although he'll have more guys hungry behind him, one of those being Dylan Alt, hungry to put him a lap down, that is. Maybe not passing for position, but that was really close to the tire wall.
I guess there's someone told me, some race car driver, some sim racer who has more skill than I do, which is not very hard to do. But, I say, why don't you back off? Why don't you go 80%? Why don't you go 90%? You don't need to go that extra tenth. But sometimes by trying to go slower, by trying to do something different than your normal pace, you actually make yourself more prone to messing up because you're ruining your rhythm. So Dylan Alt has a rhythm, so why ruin it? It hasn't had any issues thus far. So if it's an inch off the wall, it's an inch off the wall, but it hasn't let him down yet.
He's crossing the stripe, meaning we have 2 laps to go from Sonoma. He'll put the 15th place car, Logan Hilton, the lap down, going through turn 2. And Gavin Rogers now the last car on the lead lap at 14th.
And the only real other battle within the lead lap is the battle we've been showcasing quite a bit here at Sonoma, and that's Jake Nichols and Cole Hooper. He just can't find his way through. Travis Spector just behind in that shot. He is 18th, 1 lap in arrears. Other than that, again, no cautions here in this race. It is just an old-fashioned road race, no stage, no nothing. 50 laps, green flag. We saw Van Drugman on the opening start take a stab at it. He ran side by side with Dylan Alt. Dylan Alt had a couple scares. Van Drugman was able to get to within 1 second, but just not able to do anything with that 47, who has all but cleared the majority of the traffic here, coming into the hairpin for the penultimate time, getting ready to take the shop area iRacing.com white flag.
Yep, off turn 11, and the yellow flag has been saved for next week because we have the white flag out now. One final time around Sonoma, 1.99 miles for Dylan Alt to get his first win of the season, and looking through somewhere on his second stint, he ran his fastest lap of the race, which was the fastest lap of the race for the entire field at a 1:12.797.
Fastest lap of the race. In our race recap, just kind of leading into some of the things you said. Not much to really report, but Dylan Alt getting into the 12s, which is rather impressive in race trim, but it'll come through, and that was Zach Nerney there, getting really wide in the first half of turn 4 there, but to no issue now. Dylan Alt can just hang in line right here. He has multiple drivers in front, but he has 12 seconds in arrears, Hunter, so really no reason to push. Just stay where you are, and the race is yours.
He's looking to get through turn 10 A-OK. Lap cars close in front of him. Garrett Grant, Gavin Rogers. Don't think it'll be too much of an issue as he heads into turn 11 for the final time. Looking to put the 75 a lap down in the 14th position, but it looks like that won't happen. But coming to the start-finish line, Dylan Ault will finally finish his first race of the season, and it'll be atop the standings. Dylan Ault wins at Sonoma.
Getting that win in a very impressive style, leading about 80% of this race is Dylan Ault and Van Drugman. Now 13 seconds later, he will get that second spot. James Scioli in third. And it'll be a lot of time before we actually get this race solidified here, but Jake Nichols not able to get Cole Hooper. He'll hang on. That'll round out our top five as about a minute or so will elapse while we wait for the rest of these drivers to run their final lap. But what's the final tally for Dylan Ault? 44 out of 50, and the only reason he didn't lead all 50 of them was because of green flag pit strategy. Just, you don't see a scuff mark. I don't see dust on that car. Maybe a couple scares inside the driver's seat, but the car is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, a couple of scares to say the least. So definitely not a cakewalk for the 47. Had to overcome those lap cars that were in the way and got a little bit of damage in that, but it didn't stop him from coming through for his first win of the season. Again, he's wrecked out in the first 3 Cup races to start season 8, but Sonoma is where his season might be turning around. He wins and will definitely not be last in the point standings after this one. Not sure where he'll be, but will be higher than what he entered.
Yeah, I think the math will certainly facilitate that, as he had to go 1.99 slow miles to do a little victory celebration here on the front stretch. He's going to do the cheating burnout here. Use the wall and light it on up here. But as he does that, let's go ahead and give you the final rundown of results here today from the Sonoma Raceway. Obviously, the win going to Dylan Ault by a final margin that thereof 13.5 seconds over Van Drugman. James Scioli with a third, Cole Hooper in fourth. We got Jake Nichols with fifth, Michael Curhan in sixth, Seth Noel, Josh Caudell, Jacob Harberts, and Reese Schaefer rounding out the top 10.
Then Frankie Barroso still without top 10 on the season, but consistent finish nonetheless in 11th. Connor Horn 12th. Jared Talmadge 13th. Gavin Rogers 14th. 14 cars on the lead lap. Everybody else behind was at least a lap down, being Logan Helton, Drew Jua, John Forbes Jr., Travis Beckner, David Weishart, and AJ Stravato rounding out the top 20.
I know. 21st through 30th, David Brown, Bryce Senesac, Max Service. I don't think we talked about him at all here today. Justin Sogak had some issues earlier on in the race. Garrett Grant went off track. Nerney didn't have too much on air time here today. Seth Berger, Brent Punkari, Tyler Nichols, and Joseph Causey. His race certainly had some interesting moments, and then we'll just let the rest of them scroll on through. All these drivers definitely had their issues here today through the very difficult race here at Sonoma. But heading to victory lane here is, of course, Dylan Ault for the first time since the Daytona preseason, and Hunter has caught up with him.
Well, of all days to get dialed in for Area Cup Series action in Season 8, 420 couldn't have been a better day for you, Dylan. You came through, you led the most laps, you got the win, but take me through a couple moments in the race where it almost went sour for you. First with Bryce Senesac in the 09 coming through turn 11.
Yeah, that turn 11 moment kind of scared me a little bit, because if I ended up wrecking out of the race, I'm like, this area season for me has just been god awful, because right now I'm last in points. Well, probably not anymore, but yeah, going into this race, I was just feeling that I could win this race. I know Van was the only competition I was going to have, because I don't know his speed on a road course. All I've seen was him racing a V8 supercar, but yeah, this race is my home track, so I just wanted to get a good result, and I did. And yeah, other than turn 11, I don't think I really had any mistakes. Also, the first lap was I didn't expect the tires to be as cold as they were, and the green came out very early, but other than that, it was a pretty good race.
All right, well, congrats on the win, and then take me through your initial thoughts for next week's race. I believe, yes, next week we're going to Michigan, a 2-mile oval compared to a road course. How different are the two, especially just getting ready for them?
That is going to be way different than the road courses. We can, like, at the road courses, we're tire saving, we're managing our heat and our tires. Michigan is going to be all just aero grief, just run where everybody else isn't, kind of thing. Draft, you're going to need a lot of teammates. I know the Road to Pro or the eNASCAR qualifying series is actually going there, so luckily I have some practice and I know what to do. So maybe it might play out the same. Might just watch that race on Tuesday, and that'll probably better prepare me for next Monday.
Alrighty, well, congrats on the win. Don't know where you're at in points, but you definitely won't be last. First of many, hopefully, this season for Dylan Alt, winning at Sonoma.
Thank you.
Is our race winner here, and now the runner-up here today, of course, going to be Van Drugman. Well, Van couldn't get another one in the win column here today, but you did the next best thing, finished second. Dylan had a couple scares. One of them brought you right back into 1 second of him here. But where ultimately do you think he had that little bit of extra pace on you here tonight?
He has a pro license and I don't. But all seriousness, Dylan's racecraft at these road courses I've seen, he's been really good with that, and just finding time and managing his stuff. First run I felt like I managed it pretty well, not as good as him. I think he managed it, like he extrapolated time over the run while I backed up, gained, and then backed up again and started gaining again, which is not what you want to do. You want to be consistent with that, how he was, but I was inconsistent. And then, dude, the second run, I was just terrible. Like, I did everything I could to stay with him, and then once, I had a slip off of, the chicane going uphill, 3 and 3A, I was like, oh, okay, tires are fried. And they were fried. I mean, they were terrible. And I was to the point where it's 10 to go. I was like, okay, I just can't wreck it. So that's why the gap went from 4 seconds to 13 seconds. I just backed it down. But I got a nickname going around, with some of my friends. They call me the road course merchant and stuff like that. And I had to prove them right. Didn't quite get the result I wanted, but it's still satisfying to know I do have 2 wins already. It just doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things. So happy with second. My foot hurts really bad, and I need an aspirin. There's my takeaways. Well,
man, it's a good sign of a driver here that knows, it's better to finish second than it is to finish 20th trying to go for a win that may not be yours. So that's good driving. And you can redeem yourself later in the season. We do go to Daytona Road, but we'll see how you fare there. I think it's in June or something like that. But anyways, who do you want to give the floor to for your solid run here tonight?
LBB Racing for the opportunity, the teammates, I was helping them out. EPI Setup Shops, Elite Performance Industries. That's about it. Got to be a sellout for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man. Always fun to talk to, man. But we'll see you next week in Michigan.
All right. See you there.
And then wrapping up the podium here today with Hunter is that number 7 of James Scioli.
Yeah, coming through with his first top 5 of the season and first trip to the booth after finishing 3rd, James Scioli in the 7th. Congrats on the podium. Take us through your thoughts on the race, because it seemed like Van Drugman and Dylan Alt, they were driving away, but you were able to keep it calm, cool, collected, and stayed solid to get a podium finish.
Yeah, thanks for the congrats. Definitely a solid race. Started up front, and then tried a couple different things. Just trying to run higher gear in a couple different spots, just seeing if maybe it would save the rear tires better, and I could chase it back down on the back end. And I felt like I did a pretty good job in the first run, staying close, and then I just didn't do as good of a job in the second run on low fuel. Just didn't really feel any different. I just didn't feel like I had as much speed. So all in all, definitely happy to run where I did, but those guys up front, they're tough. Definitely gonna have to get a little bit better to beat them.
Yeah, but you do move up from 8th to 4th in the point standings, and as we head to Michigan next week, how different is it this season compared to last with the different points format, to where you got to take everything week by week, or how has that changed your mentality going into these races?
Hasn't changed it too much. Even last season, always just tried to stack up as many top 10s, top 5s as possible. You don't want any DNFs, and I mean, I didn't have any wins until the second to last race of the season last year, so it was always kind of points racing for me last year. So hasn't really changed the mindset too much, but definitely nice to be rewarded more, I guess, for those top 5s and top 10s and staying clean.
Righty, well, we'll see you next week at Michigan. Again, congrats on the podium, and have a good night.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to you guys for the broadcast. Really appreciate everything you guys do. To the admin team as well, taking their time to help us out. Hopefully kept it clean enough so they don't have a late night tonight. Shout out Solar Flare, 3rd, 5th, and 7th today. And then shout out JWR Race Cars, simspeedshop.com for being on the car. And hopefully we're talking to you guys again on Thursday.
Absolutely, Thursday and up in Oregon here for the Portland Road Race, man. But we'll see you then. Good job tonight. He's already gone, but I said bye to him anyways. Well, Hunter, a nice quick race for us. Dylan Alt, obviously with the old can of a whooping here, 13.5 second win. But we got some more road course racing to look forward to this week.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have the trucks tomorrow night from Sonoma, and Thursday will be the area's first trip to Portland for the Pro Series. Now that I don't really know what to expect because I'm not sure too many people have it yet, but a first for area, and then all next week, well, mostly next week, we'll be going back to an oval in Michigan, and then the Pro Series again. We'll go to Iowa. Nonetheless, it was an eventful night. Almost saw Dylan Alt's life flash before his eyes twice en route to victory tonight, but he does move up from last in the standings. He's up to 36th in the point standings, so still a bit of ways back from 12th, where Michael Curhan sits after dominating or having a solid showing in 6th place. Seth Knoll still the points leader, but Van Drugman close behind, up 2 spots in 25th. Or actually, second in point standings. He's 25 points behind. And I mentioned it, Scioli up to 4th, so the guys that are running up front, they're starting to make their way towards the top of the standings.
Absolutely. The cream always does rise to the crop here, especially as the season chugs on through here at the various racetracks that we head to over the course of a season. Again, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, both on PTR TV and on the Area iRacing Twitch. Stay tuned to our next broadcast. We'll be live here tomorrow night. We'll be live on Wednesday, and we'll be live here on Thursday. Busy time on PTR TV. Would love to have you with us for the ride. But that's going to be Corey and Hunter signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.